I met Townes Van Zandt in 1967 at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe. Rex Bell was a friend of mine, and I had heard about this singer-songwriter guy that had been coming in, and he was already kind of known in the folk singing circles. But my husband befriended him, and they became poker playing buddies because Townes loved to gamble, and so did my husband. So they had regular poker games, and Dusty Hill, Rocky Hill from ZZ Top, well, that was Dusty. They came over, they played poker along with Rex and Townes, and several of the local musicians did that for years. So that's how I befriended him. And later, he knew I painted, and he always wanted my little drawings that I would make, you know, during the poker game. I would just go to another room and draw or whatever. And so he started collecting my little drawings. Several years later, like 1994, I mentioned to him that I did a painting of him, and he wanted to see it. So I showed it to him. He goes, "That is perfect for my new album that's coming out called No Deeper Blue." And I didn't even know about the album, but the painting is a picture of a guy whose face is going from pink to blue, and it's depicting actually his manic depression. It was sort of a private painting, and I never thought he would want to use it on an album cover. I just painted it because I had been thinking of him lately, and I knew he was going through a lot of depression at the time. So I sort of painted him fading to blue, and then the four eyes, you know, the two sets of eyes signified his depression getting worse, or the other side of him. But when he saw it, he loved the painting. It made him happy, and he wanted to use it. So I said, "Go ahead, you know, that would be great." My husband had done this album for him earlier, Rain on a Conga Drum, while he was still alive. During the making of this album, my husband died tragically, and Townes then dedicated this to him. And right here on the back it says, "This record is dedicated to Raymond Eugene Bo WHITT, 1946 to 1991. Bo's painting adorn our walls, and his memory adorns my heart. Townes Van Zandt," right there at the bottom. This is the only album that I know of that was specifically dedicated to a person, and that was 1990 when my husband died, 91 when this album came out, and 4 years later is when I painted No Deeper Blue for him. And this is a really old Townes album. This is from 1987. Well, at this time, I'd already known him for 20 years. So he came to town, and we would always see him. He'd stay over at the Allen Park Inn. And we'd go over there, and he'd sing new songs to us a lot. And at that time, he signed this for us. It says, "Dear Jeanette and Bo, love and good luck. Mariah too," that's our daughter, "your old friend, Townes." 1987. This is at my window. It got destroyed in Ike, and I lost all of my Townes albums. I had all of his albums that I'd been collecting for years. I lost my whole collection of albums, actually, but the Townes albums really hurt. And one thing I do have, I have a lot of Townes Van Zandt memorabilia just because I was around and knew him. And these are really rare right now. I saw one online the other day on eBay. For the Sake of a Song, the Townes Van Zandt songbook. This is my treasure. And it is, I believe, from 1987. I don't remember what year this came out. But John Lomax wrote prefix in it. So after that, Townes went on to Europe, and he died shortly after that album came out that I painted, No Deeper Blue. I believe he died in 1997, and ever since then the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe has done a wake for Townes, and I believe we're going on the 14th year this year. I'm not sure about the dates, but something like that. It's probably the 14th or 15th year. would be a 2014. Anyway, he died on New Year's Day, the same day as Hank Williams. And his entire life, he said, I've been compared to Hank Williams my entire life. I'll probably die on the day he died. And he did. And he did, he prophesied a lot of things, and that one came true. Anything else anyone would like to know? I mean, there's so much. I have so many stories about the gambling. He would call my husband from the road all hours of the day and night and want to shoot craps with him over the phone. And my husband would be like, no, Towns, you're just going to cheat, and I don't want to shoot craps on the phone. That's ridiculous. But Towns would insist on shooting craps on the phone. So my husband would actually get up, get a pair of dice, come back, roll them, and tell Towns what he rolled. And then Towns would roll, and they would, whoever rolled the highest would win, and they'd go back and forth like that for hours on the phone. And it was ridiculous. But he did it to Rex Bell as well. I witnessed this many times, and it was so funny because they would just do it for hours. He'd refuse to stop, and you know, they'd always end up owing each other $1 or $2 at the end of it because it would go back and forth forever. So and then we moved to Austin. When we moved to Austin, I believe it was 1978. Towns lived down the street from us, and that's when around that time, I'm not sure the dates, but Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard did Poncho and Lefty, and it became a big hit. And I remember Towns was getting some pretty good royalties from that. That was really the first time he made any real money in his career, I think. And he lived down the street from us. We were neighbors. We'd see him every Sunday morning. He'd come over and want to know if my husband had anything to drink. And even though my husband drank a lot himself, he was really trying to save Towns and would say, no, I really don't have a lot to drink, but he'd always save enough, just a little, for Towns for that morning. But, you know, he just didn't really want to get started on a day-long event with Towns sometimes. So he was always out to save him, but he couldn't save himself. So anyway, that's the story of how I happened to do the Towns album. It's just I knew him and I painted a painting of him, and Towns liked it.